Good evening, everybody. This is Darius Assemi, your host at GVWire Unfiltered podcast. Welcome to another great episode coming to you live from Fresno, California on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Our special guest tonight is Chris Dowdy, Fresno Unified chairperson of the PAC, which is Political Advisory Council, not a political action committee. And we'll have Chris on in a few minutes to kind of tell us a lot of stuff about Fresno Unified that most of us did not know and were not aware of. So stay tuned for that coming up here shortly. But should the Fresno City Council approve Mayor Jerry Dyer's plan to make it easier to convert vacant buildings to into housing? Almost 2/3 said yes, it's a great idea because we need more housing that people can actually afford. Um, and then about a third said no, strips the city council of its watchdog power on planning issues. Great weather, heat up, triple digits looks like coming our way for this weekend with a heat advisory Friday from 11 a.m. to about 7 p.m. and then slightly cooling off into early next week. And then with that, we're going to jump into, should Fresno make it easier to convert office buildings into housing? There's a great article. We just showed you the poll. But the article that backs that up, great article. Take a look at that. With that, we're going to jump into some of our national stuff. Israeli politicians' criticism of Gaza war, toll on Palestinians sparks outcry. Israeli center-left opposition party leader Yair Golan focuses on the plight of the Palestinians, sparks an outcry in Israel. Great article. Take a look at that. For those of you that are interested in foreign affairs and what we do with our federal tax dollars, or some of it, I should say, take a look at that article about Gaza and Israel. Far-right Israelis confront Palestinians. Other Israelis in chaotic Jerusalem march. Far-right Israeli marchers assaulted Palestinians, left-wing Israelis, and journalists during the Jerusalem's flag march. Police made no arrest. You know what's interesting? A lot of journalists are not allowed into Gaza, haven't been allowed into Gaza unless they're part of the Israeli Defense Forces, which means that Israel does not want the rest of the world to see what's happening there. Of course, thanks to TikTok and other online social media, a lot of that information is getting out and has gotten out. One of the reasons there's the outcry in the throughout the country, throughout the world. Hamas agrees to U.S. proposal on Gaza ceasefire. Palestinian officials say. Hopefully, we can get to a ceasefire, and really whether Gazans are allowed to return, or whether Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, was to we're just going to take it because United States will follow our lead. We have a lot of influence over U.S. policymakers to be determined. With that, okay, Germany threatens, by the way, Germany threatens steps against Israel as tone shifts over Gaza, and there's some issues between France and Israel, as well as France is formally recognizing a two-state solution with Palestine being its own state. So there's some of the folks in other parts of the world, especially Europe, are reacting to a lot of pressure from their folks on why they're supporting the destruction of Gaza and the killing of the civilians. With that, let's bring it back to national, but with a local flair. President Trump threatens action as Clovis prepares for CIF state track championships. Anyhow, but Bill, do you have? I actually haven't had a chance to look at that article. Can you give us any updates on that?
So President Trump put Clovis in the national spotlight, and the reason is Buchanan High School in Clovis is hosting the state track and field championships, as it has done for many years. And a transgender athlete did quite well in the Southern California regionals. And Trump says, he's anti-transgender athletes competing, especially former men or boys competing against girls. He said, hey, if they don't fix this, I'll use my authority and step in. Now, GV Wire was the first to have this story. We had it early this morning. Thanks to Tony Haddad for paying close attention on that beat. California responded a couple hours later saying, look, the CIF has this pilot policy in which athletes who were denied spots in the state championships because of the transgender athlete winning, they have the opportunity to compete in the track and field championships. And of course, people are jumping in on this. There's a chance of protests at Buchanan High School on Friday and Saturday. So taxpayer dollars again will have to be expended to provide a safe environment for everybody. Um, and Darius, Clovis Unified has its own public safety force. I'm sure they'll be supported by the city of Clovis as well. So that's where it stands right now.
Thank you, Bill. So CIF, which stands for California Interscholastic Federation, which is the governing body for high school sports in the United States.
In California.
I'm sorry, in California, yes. Okay. Will be interesting to see where this thing heads out with President Trump involved in Clovis scholastic activities. Okay, we have a brief update on the city of Fresno. By the way, next week we hope to have council member or council president Karbasi on the show live to talk about how much city of Fresno is spending your taxpayer dollars and how well are they spending it and where's the money going. The sausage making is beginning to happen. It should be done in the next few weeks, and we'll hope to get a good preview from Council President Mike Karbasi. Let's show that pre-recorded message from Mike.
Good evening to our unfiltered audience. This is Mike Karbasi, your council president, with our exclusive city council update just for you. We don't have a council meeting this week, but next Monday we do the biggest thing every year. We work on our budget. So we'll have budget hearings. We meet with every department, ask tough questions. I'll be asking a lot of questions about our parks, our roads, and public safety. My biggest priorities, especially public safety. Please do speak up. Call 621-8000. Ask for your council member. Ask for the emails. Let them know what your priorities are so we can make sure we're building a budget that reflects your values. We did have a council meeting come up last Thursday. Nothing this Thursday, but last Thursday, a controversial discussion on converting vacant land zoned for office to residential, also existing offices to residential. One of the measures we're doing to make Fresno easier to build housing, building industry associations in favor of what's called the text amendment. I'm opposed because I want to make sure when it comes to vacant land and we're rezoning it, that we do have public say, and it's not something that's done by an unelected official like a planning director. This is not to criticize anybody in particular. This is just about the process. I really believe the public should be included. The good news is the measure presented has a carve out. So if you're within 500 feet of a school, it's a sensitive use, you'd have to go through the regular rezone process. And I think a lot of the speakers that came and spoke at the council meeting, and there were almost 20 of them, they were concerned about that issue. So hopefully that'll be resolved. But like Reagan said, trust but verify. So we'll have to see what happens with the text amendment the next council meeting. So that's the biggest thing happening at City Hall. Back to you, Darius.
Great. Thank you, Mike, for that update. And next week, again, stay tuned to figure out how much, where your taxpayer dollars are going to get spent by the city of Fresno. Some great projects from what I hear, and how much pothole repair, et cetera, is going to happen in the new budget. Fresno Unified Safety Officer alleges battery by district executive. What does the police department say? So a former Fresno Unified Campus safety officer alleges she was assaulted and falsely imprisoned by a district executive during an August 2024 incident. Fresno PD responded to the scene but concluded no crime was committed and did not pursue an investigation. After the school board denied her legal claim, the officer's attorney says a civil lawsuit will be filed within 45 days. Bill, do you have any comments on this or any additional insights?
So this is back up to the earlier story about we had from the attorney outlining the incident and talking about filing a lawsuit. I directed David Taub to find out what the police report says. So we went there. There's no really what you think of as a police report. There was an incident report, and we have asked Public Records Act requests to see the body worn camera by the officers involved. What's kind of strange to me about the incident is it took place and the officers say, Vasquez said, no crime committed, a disagreement. That's what the Fresno Unified official says, but then it ends up with the public or the campus safety officer or public safety officer for the district being taken to the hospital where she's hospitalized for 3 days. So we'll see if this story generates a new move by the Fresno Police Department to get to the bottom of this. Regardless of what the police report says, the attorney says he's going to file this lawsuit against Fresno Unified.
And the district executive that was there's an allegation, right? There's nothing is proven. We don't know if that actually happened or not. Is that correct?
Yeah, allegations.
Allegations. Okay. And that's Amy Eidsbook. Is that correct, Bill?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. I'm sure Chris Dowdy will have some comments on that when we bring Chris on. A couple of the quick items. Fresno's Crime Beat didn't prepare me for what I saw on a ride-along. Great article by Anthony Haddad. He did a ride-along over the weekend. A lot of great information on the compassion of Fresno Police Department and as they try to solve problems and prevent more problems from occurring in our city. 8 more drowning deaths added to Kern River warning signs and quick safety tips, all on GB Wire's Facebook, website. Let's go to the safety tips, life-saving water tips. You can put that on the screen. There we go. For more information, please take a look at go to gbwire.com for some great safety tips on around water, especially in our lakes and rivers. Okay, with that, let us bring in our special guest, Chris Dowdy. Chris, welcome to Unfiltered. And
nice to be here.
Thank you, Chris. Tell us about what does the PAC do? Parent Advisory Council. Kind of tell us about your role. What does PAC do? What is your involvement with Fresno Unified? And then kind of there's a few things you wanted to share with the audience, but kind of let's start with your some of your background and experiences. And what is a PAC?
Okay, so I'm a parent of a freshman at Edison, and 3 years ago, I went ahead and threw my name in the hat for school site council. That's where all this begins for me. Because like most people, I complained, I listen to the news all day long, and I'm a big believer of you can complain about it on Facebook or just shut up and do something, go and try. So for the last 3 years, I've been learning a lot about how the school system works from the inside. My first year, though, on school site council, I got nominated from the council to be a PAC member, which is Parental Advisory Committee, and it's 1 member per school across the district. So roughly 109 schools, 109 members, and then you get a bunch of representatives from Fresno Unified as well. And our main focus is supposed to be about the budget. We get multiple meetings, about 4 or 5 a year, where we go through the process of learning about new programs coming in, basically budget, really boring, mind-numbingly boring budget stuff. And then we sign off at the end of the year, which this Thursday we're doing our final PAC meeting. And the reality of it is it's a dog and pony show. I've had talks about what would happen if we did not sign off on this year's budget, because I have some big concerns about what's coming. And it would just go back to the Fresno Unified Trustee Board and they would sign off on it and it's done. So it's a little bit of the same old we've been hearing for a long time of we want parents' involvement, but we don't actually care about what you do. We just act like we care that you're there. Go ahead.
No, that's pretty interesting. And then kind of walk us. So your last meeting is this Thursday, day after tomorrow.
This Thursday.
And who's going to be in that meeting from Fresno Unified?
So just to go back, first year PAC, I was just a member. Last year I was vice chair. This year I'm chair. And so being a part of the board, we get to set the agenda. And I've been pushing for a long time, but we do have 3 speakers. Of course, the big one is we finally have Misty Herr will be coming in to address the parents. And in our agenda meeting, I strongly suggested, I said, a lot of heat coming on her, all this that's gone on with the board, the failure of the way they've done things. I think it would be good if she got in front of what you may consider the most interactive parents and talk to them. It'd be a good PR move for her to come in and address everybody there, who then can go talk to their schools, their neighborhoods, to find out a little bit more about her. Because all we really know about her is she's been there, and there's controversy about why she's got the superintendent spot.
Is she? So I'm sorry. Is this meeting open to the public?
It is at Parent University. It is hybrid, so people can come in and they can also watch live. They do take questions from people, whether you're in person. Like in person, I'm the one holding the stick. So I walk around and allow people to ask their questions. This is nothing like a school board meeting. This is one thing that I do like about the PAC. I've gone to school board meetings and I've quit. There's no point. They hold out parents. They ice them out to the end of the night. You got to be at that start with a specific question. You can ask your question. They can't, by law, answer you if you're still there at 10 o'clock at night. Here, we can actually talk to people. So Paul Eidsvog, his wife, Amy, she's been there before. We've had a lot of interactions, like Nikki Henry has been there. So a lot of the tops of Fresno Unified has been there, and we've been able to have actual conversations.
Right. So what time is it? And again, at Parent University this Thursday.
It is at 5:30 start time. It is this Thursday. It is at the Parent University building downtown on 822 North Abbey Street. But if you go to parentu.org, all the information is there for what Parent University is. And of course, I can share with you the links for everything if you want to put that up. So
right.
It is something that I do encourage parents. And this is something we always encourage parents. This is a talking point that gets said over and over again. And really, it fails. Parents don't do it. And I think apathy has kicked in after all these years of Fresno Unified being what it is, that we all know we know the school system sucks, but no one's willing to do anything about it anymore. It's just let it burn and hopefully my kid graduates and move on.
Got it. Okay, tell the audience what else you want to discuss. You had a few comments on Tony Vang and also on Trustee Thomas. So let's kind of dive in.
I know that Trustee Thomas has been obviously in the news a lot lately, and my interest in her goes back 3 years ago, and it involves a transportation issue with Computech when my son was going there. It was daily. 400 students, roughly, it's half the school body, was showing up between 20 and 40 minutes late every single day. And we went late into the second semester. And the school site council, we talked about what do we do. We sent an email out to all the trustees and Bob Nelson and Misty Herr, and silence for 12 days. So being an old radio guy, I hit up a buddy of mine and I got on KMJ and I made some comments about what was going on. And suddenly I was the belle of the ball. 3 weeks later, the school bus system gets solved. It was all about a CBA thing with the transportation side. But day 2, that Tuesday, Keisha Thomas is out there jumping around on video for social media, talking about how great it is that not one student was late to school today, and good hard work on her part. It was that moment I'm like, I don't like you, and I know who you are now. So I've been following all these trustees because that's just how I'm wired. I'm very into the local politics, and I dig and I talk to people. Some of the things that I've been learning about Keisha Thomas. Now we do know she's attempting to run for city council. No way she's going to beat Arambula, which means she'll probably just land back on the school board because incumbents just don't get beat. As we've been seeing, the school board has survived for a very long time at its current setting. But some of the concerns, and I know I've brought this up with a lot of people like you, Darius, that first off, she apparently does not live in district, which is, on the bigger scale of things, I don't care. I'd rather be mad at her for not doing her job, for wasting money, for having an 8-9 figure settlement potentially coming against the school because of the Don Eriks thing. But if we're going to talk about the rules, we can look back to 2012 when Tony Vang got.
I'm sorry, Chris. Let me interrupt you for a second. You said that Keisha Thomas does not live in the district in the area that she's representing. Is that what?
Yeah, from what I understand, she lives at the southern end of the Bullard area. So she does not, her primary residence is not in the Edison region. She does own a couple homes that I believe her children are a part of, but they're not her primary. So that alone would mean that she isn't eligible to run for the spot. And that's where I referenced the Tony Vang thing. A recall was pushed on him to get him out. He went ahead and retired as opposed to going through with the recall push that was happening. But there is precedent set for action to go against a trustee who's not following that specific rule.
Got it.
So,
Okay, so you believe that Trustee Thomas does not live in the Edison area, and she lives in the southern tip of you said Bullard region. Is that what you said?
southern side of
Southern
it, yeah.
side of it.
So she well enough across the border from Bullard to Edison.
Got it. Bullard and Edison are not adjoining, right? There's
I think on the west side.
okay, got it.
So when you get on the west side of 99, I believe is where they actually touch.
Got it. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that is one. Obviously, we know that it's been talked about and dismissed or moved on. But there was the Golden Charter stuff where she was a part of the board initially. She got them accredited, then bounced out. But Golden happens to be her son-in-law. So
I'm
another
sorry,
question.
I'm not following. Could you please elaborate? Tell the audience what is the Golden Charter, and then something about her son-in-law. Could you elaborate, please?
So Golden Charter is a private school that was set up. Her son-in-law is the one who's backing. I believe he was an NFL player, but I don't know those details to put my life on it. But they got a school that was set up. They had to get accredited through Fresno Unified. And of course, Keisha Thomas helped get that accrediting done. She was also on the board, but then removed herself because it was a conflict of interest. But that was well after everything was done. But that is an old story from a couple years ago. And I know, and I'm just kind of making the case as we go down to show a lot of the issues that voters should know about her. And maybe other people should push a little bit because it might take some pressure for her to have to do the Tony Vang thing and decide to retire versus being facing down a recall, which we're too close to 2026, I think, for a recall to truly go through. So, but that still gives her another year and a half to continue doing what she's doing on the board now.
What do you think? What do you think she's doing on the board now? Her performance.
Well, it's not now. I'm not putting it all on her. The board has got a handful of people that have shown that they have no interest in the kids. I mean, you can look at Viva Islas. She moved to Fresno from Tulare, ran for city council, lost in the primary, jumped over to trustee, won that spot. And she talks about how it's such an important role for her because she cares so much for the kids. And I'm saying BS. She cares about moving up in political advancements. And that is kind of how trustee boards kind of operate, especially from a Democratic side. It's the minor leagues in baseball terms as you start moving people up the ranks and getting the name recognition, which is all people vote on is I recognize you. I don't even remember if it's good or bad, but I recognize your name. So Keisha is someone just I have focused on because of my interactions with her, and I would love to go in and talk about Elizabeth Jonathan Rosas and talk about Viva Islas, but you only have 30 minutes left. This could go all night.
Well, we have
So-
in the next 30 minutes. Gonna tell us anything else you can share with us with the audience about any of the other board members that you like to, obviously fact based, and then we can move on to some of the points
I
yet
can-
about Misty, her, the new superintendent.
Okay. So when it comes to the facts, this is conversations I've had with parents and with teachers, and like Bill would understand, a good journalist is not allowed to share their sources a lot of times. But Keisha, I did notice when I logged into GV Wire yesterday, your top story had that Misty Hers facing 4 lawsuits about nepotism when it comes to hiring. Keisha Thomas has a boyfriend who got a prime position at principal at Gaston Middle School just 2 years ago when he was around, I think, 27 years old, 26, 27. So questions that I asked to some teachers, some people in administration, saying, well, it's not totally unheard of. Someone who doesn't have the history of being a vice principal, of being in very education and various levels to jump in at 27 is an interesting career jump. And how does that happen? So there's information that we can't, as the public, get. I was a part of a hiring circle for vice principal at Computech. And so I got to see how the choice rankings work in the room with the people that are there. And then everything's NDA, can't talk about who was in the room. But I would imagine if we found out who was in the room, there might be connections to Keisha as she pulled some strings to get her boyfriend a prime spot at the nicest school on the west side. I mean, as far as new schools in Fresno, I think it was the second or third newest. So nepotism at its best there on that one.
Got it.
I'm blanking. I apologize.
No, that's okay. While you're thinking about, let me bring you into. You had some comments about the newly appointed superintendent, Misty Her, about something, an article that I think GV Wire had allegedly helped promote her cousin. 4 lawsuits claim nepotism and incompetence. I think did you have comments on that article that was ran a few weeks back?
Well, that's going to be so the legal process will be a wait and see. The idea of nepotism in Fresno Unified is not new. That's been around for a long time. It's been serious charges from multiple people of how well connected family members are, especially the top of Fresno Unified. Misty Her, I have nothing against her, and I really feel bad because she's starting this position with no chance because of how the board went around their process, lying, the lack of transparency, the shenanigans that they did for almost a whole year in picking who they wanted, and we all knew who she wanted. It's like Biden and talking about, well, we're finding out now that he was his mind wasn't all the way there. It's like we all knew that. So a year ago, we all knew Misty Her was going to get it. My recommendation for her, and I'm glad she's doing it. We'll see if she shows up, but to come in and start to face parents and to talk to them, I think would be a great start. I would also like for her to start looking at, because the budget is going to be a huge thing. We have some major problems coming because not only the Department of Education isn't that big of a deal, but it does have some funding issues when it comes to special education. There will be some hits there. There will be hits because of Sacramento's budget and how far back that is. But there was another one that happened this year with Fresno Unified when Trump got in and all the talk of ICE and immigration, the red cards being pushed out and promoting that you need to be scared because you might get swooped up while you're hitting the vape in the bathroom, all that type of stuff. We have roughly 1,000 kids a day since January 20th who've been no showing to school.
Wow.
Which, according to the principal at my school and talking to some other people at the PAC meetings, that could come out to roughly $1 million a day in lost daily attendance coming
Well,
to Fresno
it's
Unified.
let's see, 1,000. It's Fresno Unified. If my math is correct, if I remember correctly, is between $15,000 and $20,000 per student per year. So I don't know how many days actually teaching days there are, but 1,000 times 20,000 is 20 million. 20 million divided, I mean, that would be the max at, if I'm correct. 20 million divided by the number of days in a school year. Do you know how many days in a school year?
180,
180. So
roughly
let's say
180.
200, it would be, no, it wouldn't be a million, it would be 100 grand, a little less than 100,000 a day. But that's still a lot of money. But let me bring in Bill McEwen. I think he had a point, and then we want to, because we actually have 30 minutes left. I want to bring in the academic performance and the graduation rates that you wanted to talk about, and then comparing Fresno Unified to Long Beach Unified in terms of, administrators. We don't have the dollar. Yeah, we do have the dollar amount too. So, Bill, you had comments on?
Yes, Chris, since you're highly involved with the budget, I think about 2 years ago, I wrote a column after I poured over their financial records, and it looked to me that Fresno Unified has a significant structural deficit, meaning that Trump cuts money, Sacramento cuts money. Yes, Fresno Unified has to deal with that, but they have to make cuts anyway because they have a huge structural deficit going forward. Is that your read of the budget as well?
Yeah, a lot of hits coming. The question that I had for the lead representative that's going to be talking about the budget on Thursday, I had asked if Fresno Unified has been planning, and this is about 2 months ago that we had this conversation. Has Fresno Unified started talking about what's being cut? Because in a situation like this, something is going to be cut. I was just told no parents or no teachers are getting cut. Don't worry about that. But from what that puts into me then is say goodbye to support staff for all teachers. Say goodbye to transportation, field trips. The SPED education is being cut. I got a note from somebody in admin saying that they were told to cut behavioral technicians on the SPED side. And these are the people that are needed at the very beginning as these kids, as they get recognized coming into the school district from day one, they need that support. So yeah, cool. No teachers are going to be cut, supposedly. They also have done a hiring freeze, apparently, that they're not filling any admin spots. But to me, that just means, okay, you're not cutting money, you're just not spending more money. But I don't hear of any cuts going on with the administration side either. So the teachers who are worried about whether or not they're going to lose their job, they'll be fine, but they're going to be left on an island by themselves. And that was one of the biggest talking points in the last CBA with FTA.
And so, Chris, also, I don't know if you saw the article, but, Long Beach Unified is considered a peer district to Fresno Unified, much as Santa Ana, Garden Grove, and some other school districts are. Long Beach has half as many administrators as Fresno Unified. They do have about 5,000 or 6,000 fewer students. So what's your read on Fresno Unified having twice as many administrators as a peer district that does much better on academic achievement than Fresno Unified does? And can you see Fresno Unified sending some administrators back to the classroom?
Well, I think that would be a great start to start paring down. Um, Thinking about this before I came on, I was thinking, I have my own business, my own company. If Darius decided to buy me out as his role as a CEO, what would be the first things that you would be doing? Wouldn't you be going around figuring out who to cut, how to streamline to gain more profit? And I know we're talking money. And I see a comment from somebody talking about we're just talking money. This is about children. The money is directly related to the children. The children are the product. They provide the money to the school. The schools, then you're supposed to use that money to create the academic needs necessary for these kids. And if you look at statistical data, like I sent something to Paul earlier that showed a 10-year span from 2011 to 2020. And every single year, everything, reading, writing, math, history, science scores all went down consistently every year. There's one thing that went up every single year consistently, and that's graduation rates. So we're not taking the time to teach. And I wonder, what were we doing in 2011 that the scores were so much better than now? And we have all this great new technology, and we have all these advanced superiors in the administration positions that they're teaching. We're taking Tuesdays off to give extra learning time to teachers to make sure they can teach kids better. We're doing all that, yet our scores keep going down up until 2020 when they stopped relaying the information out because it's better we don't know it. So yeah, I would like to see admin. You got the credentials and you're like year 2, year 3 in admin. Go back to the class. You might have to take a little bit of a pay cut. I'm sorry. Maybe you can go get another admin job in another school, but we need to start putting more bodies in the classrooms. And we need to stop having such a top heavy when you consider the amount of admin versus teachers and the amount of money going to either side. I think money better spent on kids will be great, especially right now when we are in a serious budget deficit that is looming.
And so we're talking about helping kids. That's the whole reason for this effort by GV Wire to uncover what's going on in Fresno Unified. Wouldn't the money be better spent on more tutors, putting together a volunteer tutor program that engages parents throughout the district or grandparents, perhaps paying them a stipend, but not nearly the amount of money that an administrator or a full-time teacher would make? Doesn't the district need more counselors, more psychologists, more help in special education? It seems to me that the priorities for Fresno Unified have been way off track for a long time. In fact, it's probably 5 years ago I wrote that Fresno Unified says kids are their number one mission, but the number one mission of Fresno Unified is preserving the bureaucracy. In 5 years, nothing's changed. Misty Herr gave us an interview in which she said all administrators would be held accountable, and anyone that wasn't doing a first-rate job would not be eligible for a promotion or lateral transfer. No sooner is she appointed superintendent than she pulls that back. So to me, by definition, by Misty Herr's own definition of what she sees her job, she has no chance of success because it's status quo. She said she doesn't want to upset her administrative team. Don't you think Fresno Unified needs a superintendent that's willing to upset the administrative team, potentially cut it in half and put more money in the classroom to support the teachers so that kids learn better?
Yeah, there's a definite thing I would like to see done. In the last 10, 15 years, we have instituted a bunch of pilot programs to help our Black and brown babies, our people of color, or people of coming from poor backgrounds to improve their positioning at Fresno Unified. We're in Fresno. We're all, in a sense, poor here. Fresno Unified is 71% Latino. White is between 8 and 12 at most. So, trying to do stuff to promote the better learning of Black and brown. How about promote the better learning of all the kids? Because the school district is Black and brown. If we start cutting these initiatives and plans, the consultants, these programs that they put together, and why don't we pause what's going on in the school to look back to, I don't know, as early as 2011, Ballotpedia, check it out. What were we doing to get the scores back then? Because now with all this betterment of kids, their social emotional health, the understanding of whatever DEI, I'm not trying to make that as a pejorative, all the terminologies and everything that we've done, the special interest type of things, and scoring goes down every single year. Grad goes up every year. And these kids, they're going to graduate, go into the real world. Darius, I don't think you're hiring any of these kids when they come out.
And let me add to that, Chris. You bring up some really good points, but I want to first of all, what district do you live in? I'm Fresno Unified. Whereabouts in Fresno Unified? The Hoover area. Okay, got it. Which is Claudia Casares, who just got barely, I think by 5 votes or 10 votes, got reelected. Let's put up slide 24. This is what some of the items that Chris is referring to. And by the way, GBWire is doing further analysis into kids coming in at first grade, what's their performance level, and as they move up into second, third, fourth, fifth, when you compare Fresno Unified with Long Beach Unified scores. So people know that, kids are entering in first grade, they're okay. And then what is Fresno Unified's impact on the educational outcome of these kids? And does anybody care? Here, I don't know if our audience can see this chart. At the bottom, 2011, 2010, 2011, let's take black kids. That's the percentage of district students who scored at or above the proficiency level each school year. This is for mathematics. So in 2011, 36% of blacks were at or above. You get to 2021, that number drops to between 10 and 14%. Hispanic, I mean, the trajectory is really something to be ashamed of. I've talked about this many times. This is one of the things that will plague our community and really every elected member of our community. Fresno County, Clovis, City of Fresno should be concerned about these numbers, because what comes out of Fresno Unified impacts our community, not just Fresno and not just that district, but these kids need a place to work, need a roof over their head. And yeah, Fresno Unified, the education system cannot replace what happens inside a family. You need parents' involvement and engagement, but they got to do within their limits and ability. Make sure we have the right team. I mean, look at how much scandal allegations. Let me put it this way: allegations there are of folks and the very top part of Fresno Unified, and from whether it's nepotism all the way down to some of the articles that we just talked about a few minutes ago. Safety officer alleges battery by district executive. I mean, Miss Deere has got has her hands full, but it sounds like she told Bill McEwen or somebody at GBY that we're not going to make any changes or reduce our accountability. Bill, I want you to correct me if I didn't quite say that appropriately, but that's the issue, folks. Let's go back to slide 24. Hispanics, again, 43%, in 2011. And you know what's interesting, as I'm looking at this, something happened in 2015, because I'm looking at, Native American went from 40 to 21, and then it dropped from 2013 to 2014, dropped substantially, precipitously. Same thing with white. White, 2011, 61%, scored above. And then right about 2014, 2015, it dropped about, 20 points. And this actually 30 points, 20 plus percentage points. I mean, I don't know what happened. Was that a superintendent change? Was that a state regs change? Was it the way they're testing? We don't know this yet. And I'm going to ask Bill McEwen if this is part of an article that GBY ran, or is this some of the data that's going to be available or is available on our Fresno Unified tab. I mean, and again, I want to remind the audience, if you go to gbwire.com, there's a tab at the top just for Fresno Unified. You can click on that. All Fresno Unified articles are available along with a lot of this information. I'm just actually scrolling through that page. This data, I don't quite see it on there, but it'll be posted, if not later tonight, tomorrow. Let me get to some of the comments, and I want to bring Bill in for his comments on this. Okay. When you talk money, it sounds like just another business. And actually, Chris, you addressed that very well. It's some districts look at kids only as a revenue source. They don't want to give up any of the kids because we need that money, but they need the money to then provide educational opportunities for these kids. Robert Asbury, professionals, hardly. More like overeducated picks, paid way too much. How about let the teachers teach? Cam Malloy preach. Myrna Garcia, no bueno. I have family members who are teachers. The teachers are left without the tools to do their job. They are pinned against the wall with no lifeline. Jimmy Martinez, Misty is a scam. Robert Asbury, nepotism at its finest. Jimmy Martinez, this fool said black and brown babies. I don't know if that was what that was meant. It's not about money. It's not just about money in the classroom. Jenny Garcia, another Racist white dude. I don't. We talked about this last time. White is WHITE. Um, by the way, Chris Garcia. I'm sorry, Chris Dowdy is chairman of the Parent um, Advisory Committee, PAC. So let the teachers teach and not tell them how to, when did Common Core get implemented? Jimmy Martinez. It takes a whole community to make a difference since the issues with Fresno Unified will take time to resolve. We need to get involved with organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and others to support our youth and strengthen our community in the meantime. Well, here, if the community cares, they should be involved. They should be sending emails to the board members and to Misty. Here are the scores. What are you doing about it? What actions are you going to take to help the educational outcome of our kids? You guys are getting paid a lot of money. I think Misty, her starting salary is $385,000 plus benefits, if I remember correctly. You know what? It could be very well justified. By the way, personally, from the private sector, I have no issue paying that dollars and then some if we're getting great results. I would personally put them on an incentive plan. We need these scores turned around and not just fake scores. We want kids to actually perform better. Let me bring in Bill McEwen to opine on some of these scores. Bill, you have a lot of information about Fresno Unified, and then we'll bring Chris back up to wrap things up for us.
So I can't put my finger on the cause, circa 2013 through 15, what changed that when we have scores going lower across the board. One of the viewers suggested Common Core. There could be something to that, the transition to Common Core learning. You also have to remember the districts had all kinds of, it's been whipsawed by various presidents who have diametrical views on education and the amount of federal funding that comes Fresno Unified's way. Yes, for my opinion is this. I gave it to Michael Hansen when he was superintendent because he tried a lot of different things to get this jump started. He had the district invest heavily with the state program in which extra money came to high schools if they adopted certain curriculum. He tried some other things, joining the Council of Great Urban Schools. I could go on this. My advice at the time was, this is a Fresno problem. You need to come up with a Fresno solution. And I think we need a superintendent that gets involved, is highly involved. I believe that teachers are unique. We have some great teachers and they do things not according to how it's supposed to be done, but they have charisma. They love their students. They get kids excited about education. That should be the #1 job of every teacher in Fresno Unified, getting students excited about education. And again, Fresno needs to come up with its own plan. Yes, you can rely on experts for some ideas and those kinds of things, but Fresno really needs to formulate its own approach to this, and it needs to stick with that approach for some time. You can't have an instant turnaround. There's no silver bullet for this. It takes a lot of hard work. And the #2 thing is, Fresno Unified finally has to live up to his motto that it's all about the kids. For decades, it's been all about preserving the bureaucracy. It's been all about the administrators and their pay and those kinds of things. And mostly it's been about not rocking the boat. Yeah, they'll punish someone lower down the line. They'll fire them. But administrators, we never see them touched. If they fail at their job, they may get promoted from assistant superintendent to deputy superintendent. If they fail as a principal, do they go back to the classroom? No, they get promoted downtown. Fresno Unified has been operated like a country club forever. And its latest selection process showed us that nothing has changed at all. And here you have Misty Her. You want a change agent? You can't promote someone that's been in the muck and the mire. The tentacles are pulling Misty Her back every day. How many depositions is she going to have to be involved in? How can her focus be entirely on education? The trustees, the majority, 6 of them didn't care. They want to do the political thing. They want to just march forward. But at this point, I don't think Fresno is going to take it anymore. And finally, Darius, it seems like the people that want to make Fresno Unified better for students and to help families, many of them have come from the Fresno region or the Hoover region. They're immediately dismissed as white, elitist, or racist because they simply care about their schools. It's ridiculous. Some of the remarks by the viewers, the people that say them are so ignorant, they don't know what dumbasses they are. To quote Randy Newman, they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, but that won't stop them from talking. So if there's going to be a revolution in Fresno Unified, it has to be led by the people who live south of Shaw. I've said this many times. These students are waiting for those parents and those families south of Shaw to say, this isn't acceptable anymore, instead of running to pizza parties that the district throws for parents. It's ridiculous. The revolution has to be from people living south of Shaw.
Bill,
That's where the great majority of the district families are. It only makes sense that that's where it has to come from.
you've said that many times to me, Bill. You've said it a couple of times on Unfiltered. By the way, that is why this is Unfiltered, because you just heard Bill McEwen in an unfiltered way come out and really say what's on his mind, which is on the minds of a lot of people. And what can you, the audience, do about it? Well, elections matter. Uh, Next year, there's 4 trustees are up for election. As Bill said, Susan Wittrop was the only one that voted against the contract for Misty Her because she said we're passing up 3 fantastic other candidates, but the board had already 6 of them had already kind of decided whether they decided that night or over the last year. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But really, shame on us if we just let this go by. Shame on the audience and on the constituents and folks that are Fresno County residents. So on your screen, you have the names of all 7. Thank you for putting that up, Paul and Eric. All 7 trustees and the superintendent, Mr. Susan Wittrop, was the only one that did not voted no on that. So it was a 6-1 vote in support of Misty Her. And if we sit on the sidelines and let the other 6 get away, and really, I don't want to say we need to put pressure on Misty Her. You got to turn this ship around. You got to turn these scores around. We need to hold you accountable, and you need to hold your staff accountable. And if you don't do it, shame on us. We deserve the crap that's coming down. I'm going to bring in Chris for his final comments before we wrap up. Chris, you heard Bill.
Okay, first off, if it's truly unfiltered, I should have had the heads up because I
Well,
could have
go.
gone
You
wild
have
today.
you have about 3 minutes to go wild. Go.
Now, when it comes to leadership, I would like to see Misty Her do something bold and actually make some moves. I do intend to ask her a question this Thursday, not on the mic, not in front of everybody. I'm not going to put her on that spot, but I am going to ask if Keisha Thomas is found guilty of the defamation lawsuit, and it is a 7, 8, 9-figure settlement that comes and hits Fresno Unified, will she stand up and ask for her to resign? I think as a good leader, she should do that because, again, I do construction-based work. If I pop a water main at a job site where I'm building, I'm not waiting to get fired. I'm handing it in. I know I'm done. And I think having $100 million settlement that's going to take them out of the budget that's already hurting should be Keisha going, I'll see myself out. I would like to see her step up and do that. I would like to see transparency. Where's any of the scores from 2020 on? If you really want to be open with parents and you want you want the interaction, you want to have the support, the pillars of the city, show us everything. Show us the data, because the best way to fix something is to lay it all out. You go to any counseling session, all the people out there who've sat with their spouse across on the couch, you got to lay out what the problems are and just put it in the open and start working forward. I'd like to see her start thinking more like a CEO in how do we solve problems? Where's the expenditures that are useless? The problem is, if admin is really full of nepotism hires, you're not going to fire your cousin. You're not going to fire your sister. You're not going to fire your brother's niece. So it's a safe spot up there for them. And all this needs to be looked at. I think it'd be best for places like GV Wire and other local news places to start looking at these people who are on the board, the people who are electable. There's enough dirt out there that you start getting people to know the names of people and what they're actually truly doing. I think you might start getting a change. But unfortunately, I think just like voters in the Valley and voters everywhere, there's an apathy a portion to their mindset when it comes to voting. When it comes to being a parent, and I know teachers hate this, they hate looking like glorified babysitters, but you have left us in the dark so much. Fresno Unified has left us in the dark as parents so much that, yeah, you kind of are a glorified babysitter at this point, because I'm not expecting much out of what's going to come out of 12 years of education here. It's a really sad and pathetic thing. I've heard a lot of leaders, Darius, I've heard you I listen every Tuesday night. I've heard Mike DeManuel Jr. talk on KMJ about how local leaders need to put their money up, need to find the candidates, need to run them. I think it also lands on leaders of this city to say enough's enough. Find your people, put the money in it, get them elected. Let's make some actual changes. And it's going to be brutal. It has to be, because the ship is so far down the river now. Completely, it's a Viking funeral, is what Fresno Unified is already. These kids are going to graduate. I'm going to end up in an old folks home, and I'm going to have a kid that has to wipe my butt and won't be able to read the instructions on how to do it. That's what our future in this valley is right now. And we need to start making some changes. We've lost generations of kids who have no
Great
hope.
points.
They didn't come out with what was necessary, and we need to start today. Changes need to happen.
Great points. I want you to remind the audience again what's happening Thursday, when and where, and the opportunity for parents to speak up. But you kind of briefly tell the audience the event you have on Thursday.
I'll tell you what, I'll send you the actual link, make it clickable. It is using Microsoft Teams. It's a hybrid setup. You can be there in person. They provide all the food. They provide babysitting services as well, but it's downtown, not much in the parking. But it is Thursday at 5:30, the final PAC meeting, where we will be talking budget cuts. We will be talking about student attendance and the impact on that, and the board adopted goals and guardrails for Misty herself. But you can log in live on Teams, and you can make comments. And I promise you, I'm the guy holding the stick. I can answer, I can get your comment on, whether in voice or just in text. I can read it for you. But if you have something that hits the point that we need, we'd love to have you on there to get your voice heard. As Fresno Unified says, the parents are the number one most important thing as far as a partnership goes. Well, parents, prove it. Put up or shut up. If no one takes the time to check out these really, and I honestly, I mean it, they are boring, mind-numbing meetings. But if you don't take the time to do it, then stop complaining. This is the mess that you're
There we
allowed
go.
to happen to.
Okay, so Thursday, 5:30 on Zoom or Teams. We will have that information up on GV Wire tomorrow morning. Paul and Eric, let's make sure we have it on. As soon as you click on the Fresno Unified button, you'll see the event, which is this coming Thursday, day after tomorrow, 5:30, hybrid, in person or on Zoom and or Teams. We'll get the link from Chris Dowdy, and we'll put it up. A couple of final comments before we wrap up. Let's go down here. It's the same with City of Fresno. Why do you think Fresno city has such a terrible reputation to do business in. That's from Robert Asbury, Michelle Arax Asadorian. The bureaucracy is too thick and mired in job protection. The only hope is to split the district down Blackstone into two smaller, more manageable districts. Tammy McMahon, I ran in 2022 against Valerie Davis. Well, Tammy, there's an opportunity to run against her again in 2026. By the way, Chris, moving Central Valley forward, and there's lots of other organizations that as we talk to are interested in finding out who's available to run, and we'll talk about that offline. So kind of be on the lookout for that, and share the information with your folks. Uh, Robert Asbury, Pipe Dream, that's what Bullard was originally, would help, but still need to get right off bloated overhead and micromanaging. Uh, Mark Moore, what did Nelson actually do? From what I can see, nothing. Jenny Garcia, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know what Jenny Garcia is referring to, but if he's referring to Chris Dowdy, he's the chairman of the Parent Advisory Council. Who, by the way, Misty, her, and the executive team are going to be there on Thursday, or at least they're invited to be there. So I don't know what Jenny is referring to. If he's referring, yeah, please.
Can I say
please.
something about
Sure.
Jenny real quick? Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a Fresno Unified employee. Actually, I shouldn't have graduated high school from Hoover. They lowered the bottom grade of my last class needed, which, by the way, was government. But they did that to push as many of us through so I wouldn't have to do a summer school class. I was definitely not a student minded. I am a rough, very foul-mouthed fool who really I like to have fun. But I also have a child and I give a damn about him. And it's not just as he goes through school, it's about our community as it is. And these kids, whether you have a kid in school or not, this all affects and impacts you. So while I'm not educated and I'm not of the better, smarter mind that is these elite academia people, I'm just a dumb construction dude. And yet I've gotten this far through the system. I've learned, I put my head down, and believe me, I'd rather watch baseball than to listen to any of these stupid board meetings. But I do it because I know there's a greater impact. So yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I guarantee I know more than you. So have that.
There you go. Thank you, Chris, for those final thoughts. And Jenny Garcia, if you have any comments constructive comments, please put them on. We will read them. If you have some great suggestions, if you have things that Misty Hirsch should be doing, and if you care about our kids' education, please put any comments that you have, any suggestion you have that could help improve the educational outcome of our kids. We'd be glad to share it. Well, the audience can see it. By the way, there's folks on YouTube that can see the comments on Facebook potentially, and there's of course folks on our website because this is being broadcast live on gvwire.com as well. Final comment, Tammy McMahon. Thank you, Chris. I'd like to speak to you. There you go. So good things can come up, and hopefully the two of you guys can connect. I understand there's a few folks that are interested in running for school board next year for Valerie Davis's seat, for potential Keisha Thomas's seat, and potentially for Veba Islas's seat. So we'll be tracking those down, and you'll see a lot more information come out not only on GB Wire as we get closer to 2026, but also on other websites. If there's nothing else, I think we're clear. Thank you, Chris, for joining us this evening. Good luck Thursday. Sounds like if Misty does show up, does she show up every time, by the way, or is it just occasionally?
No, never has. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 trustees who were supposed to show up in the last 3 years who did not. I have begged for that kind of interaction. I think that people up at the high perches of Fresno Unified tend to avoid the unwashed masses because they don't want to have to answer questions from angry parents.
Okay. Good luck Thursday. We'll probably have an update from you. You know what? We may be good to. We're covering a lot of stuff about the budget, City of Fresno's budget next week. But if you had an update for us post Thursday, and if you want to come on just for a few minutes, be love to have you back to say, here's what Misty said to parents on how to turn things around, and also how she's going to hold her executive team accountable and turn things around at Fresno Unified so we have better educational outcomes. So please stay in touch with Paul and Eric if you have an update for us next week. We'd love to have you back. On behalf of all of us at GV Wire Unfiltered and the entire behind the scenes team, thank you for watching. Have a great week. A little warm up coming up this weekend, watermelon time. And see you all next Tuesday. Thank you and good night.